The night it happened, I screamed for help. But what hurt more than the silence of strangers was the voice of my mother saying, "You must have done something to make him think you wanted it." It was a Tuesday night. Rain poured like heaven was mourning what was about to happen. My mother had asked me to deliver a bowl of soup to her friend Auntie Reese, who lived 2 streets away. I hesitated. It was already 6:37 p.m., and I didn't like walking alone in the dark. But refusing a chore in my home was like slapping the Holy Spirit. "Don't be stupid," she snapped. "It's just down the road. Don't disgrace me." So I went, with my head down, my scarf on tight, my skirt grazing my ankles. I walked fast, past the uncompleted building, past the dangling mango tree. But as I neared the shortcut, a shadow stepped out from the darkness. It was our landlord's nephew, Femi, the same one who used to tease me, grab my wrist too tightly during church greetings, and wink whenever no one was watching. "Where you they go?" he asked, stepping closer. "Auntie Reese's house," I said quickly, avoiding eye contact. He grabbed my arm. "No rush, come play small." I pulled away, but he pushed me against the wall. And before I could scream again, his hand covered my mouth. One noise and I swear, he forced himself on me right there. In the dirt, in the rain. With a bowl of soup crushed beside me, I limped home, bloody, shaking. I told my mother everything, sobbing like a broken child, and she looked at me, then looked at my skirt, then whispered, "So what did you do to him? How can a girl just be defiled like that? You've been walking like someone looking for attention." I collapsed to the floor, begging, "Mama, I swear to God, I didn't do anything." She hissed and turned away. "I warned you about that, your seductive walk. You've disgraced me." I bled through the night, not just from between my legs, but from the betrayal of the woman who gave me life, and then refused to protect it. Thought telling Mama would be the hardest part. But I didn't expect what came next, the man I called father, standing like a judge before me. He didn't even sit down when Mama broke the news. He just stood, still as stone, expressionless. "She said Femi molested her," Mama said, her voice hushed like she was confessing my sin, not my pain. Papa narrowed his eyes at me. "Molested you, or you opened your legs?" My lips parted, but nothing came out. "Answer me," he barked. I didn't, I swear, Papa. He forced me. Don't lie to me." His voice cracked the room open like thunder. "What were you wearing, eh? That skirt you like to catwalk in around the compound? It was raining. Mama sent me. And you decided to go and disgrace us? In this community? People will say my daughter is loose, a disgrace to my name." My legs buckled beneath me, but he wasn't finished. "Tomorrow you'll travel. Go and stay with your auntie in Enugu. You won't drag this family name in the gutter. And as for Femi, forget it. He's our landlord's nephew. You want us homeless?" I stared at him, tears flowing. "So he gets to walk free? After what he did to me? You should have screamed. You should have fought. If you didn't want it, you would have bit his tongue off." I felt something inside me shatter. Not like glass. No, like a mirror that once held my reflection, now showing a stranger. A girl abandoned by the only people she thought would fight for her. That early morning, I was given a small bag, a few clothes. No hugs, no prayer, not even a goodbye. Just Mama whispering, "Don't tell anyone in Enugu what happened. They won't understand. They won't understand." No, nobody did. But the worst part wasn't the pain. It was realizing that in my home, shame wore my face, and honor wore the one who stole my innocence. They thought sending me away would silence the shame. But shame travels, especially when no one lets you forget. My aunt's compound in Enugu was quiet, too quiet. From the moment I stepped down from the bus, I knew the whispers had arrived before me. "She's here," one cousin muttered. The one they said brought disgrace to her family. I was given the back room, a small mat, a thin wrapper, and instructions. "You will help in the kitchen, do laundry, and no unnecessary phone calls," Aunt Ifoma said. "We don't tolerate bad behavior in this house." Bad behavior? I wanted to scream. But instead, I nodded. Because what's the point of screaming when no one believes your voice anymore? The days were long, the nights longer. Even the neighbors looked at me like I was a cautionary tale. Their daughters stopped playing with me. Their sons laughed behind their hands. "The girl that couldn't even protect herself," one said once, just loud enough for me to hear. 3 weeks after I arrived, I got a text message. Unknown number. "Still tastes like the first time? I can come to Enugu if you're lonely. Femi." My blood turned cold. How did he get my number? Why was he so confident? Why was he still free? I wanted to block him, but something in me snapped instead. I replied, "Don't text me again." He replied instantly, "Relax. You liked it. You didn't even fight hard." I screamed, threw the phone across the room. My cousin Uju barged in. "Are you mad? What's wrong with you?" I tried to speak, but the lump in my throat swallowed every word. "Stay away from me," she hissed, "before you bring your curse into my room." That night I sat in the dark cradling my phone. And for the first time in weeks, I opened Google. How to report sexual assault anonymously in Nigeria. I wasn't ready for revenge. Not yet. But for the first time, I was thinking about reclaiming my voice. Enugu was quieter than Lagos, but it was no escape. I was living in Auntie Ifeoma's house, but not welcomed. The cousins avoided me. The neighbors whispered. And the walls of the back room I slept in, with its leaky ceiling and peeling paint, became my only friends. Every night, I scrolled through my phone, Googling things I never thought I'd need to type. How to report sexual assault in Nigeria. Can you get pregnant from it? How to stop blaming yourself for being assaulted. The results were cold, robotic, just like the people I used to call family. Then one Sunday evening, while I was washing plates, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Hello?" A pause. Then a soft female voice. "Is this Chidinma?" "Yes, who's this?" "Please don't hang up. I know what Femi did to you." I froze, soap dripping from my hands. "Who are you?" I whispered. "My name is Ngozi. I live next door to your compound in Lagos. I was at the back of my house that night. I saw him drag you. I heard you scream." My breath stopped. "Why didn't you say anything?" She choked on her words. "I was scared. My mom said not to get involved. But I couldn't sleep. And when I heard you were sent away, I couldn't take it anymore." I sat on the wet floor. "So I wasn't crazy. I didn't make it up." "No, you didn't. I believe you." Tears exploded down my cheeks. And for the first time in weeks, they weren't just tears of pain. They were tears of relief. Ngozi offered to testify if needed. She even said she'd written a journal entry that night, dated and signed, that described what she heard. "You're not alone," she said before hanging up. And those 3 words stitched together the pieces of a girl who thought her soul had bled out. That night, I sat by the window and wrote my first journal entry. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to do after it. The next day, I told Auntie Ephelma I was going to buy new church sandals. I lied. I tucked the paper with the address into my pocket, the one Ngozi had sent me via SMS. It led me to a cream-colored building hidden behind a faded pharmacy sign in town. The door read, Hope Restored Women's Center. Inside it smelled of antiseptic, paper, and peppermint oil. A woman with small glasses looked up from the desk. Good morning, dear. How can we help you? I opened my mouth, but tears fell first. She quickly stood and led me into a private office. That's where I met her, Mrs. Moreo. A woman with soft eyes, a counselor's voice, and something in her aura that made me feel like a person again. You don't have to rush, she said. Take your time. And I told her everything. The assault, my mother's reaction, my father's slap, Femi's messages, even Ngozi's phone call. She didn't flinch. She didn't interrupt. She just listened. And when I finished, she gently held my hands and said, You're not crazy. You were molested, and you did nothing to deserve it. That was the first time anyone said those words to me. She explained how the center worked. Confidential support, legal aid, therapy, a chance to reclaim your voice. I finally exhaled. But then a door opened behind her. And in walked Sister Ruth, one of Mama's longtime church friends. Our eyes locked. She blinked. Once. Twice. Chidima? She gasped. Uzo Amaka's daughter? My heart dropped. Mrs. Moreo turned. You know her? Yes, now. Her mother and I used to teach Sunday school together in Lagos. I stood, fast. I have to go. Wait, Mrs. Moreo called. But I was already out the door. Because in Nigeria, even your trauma has community ties. That night, my phone buzzed again. Call, Mommy. I heard you went to a women's center. You want to destroy this family for good? I didn't reply. I just cried. But this time I wasn't crying out of fear. I was crying out of anger. Because I finally realized I wasn't the disgrace. The silence was. Mrs. Moreo called me 3 days later. I understand why you ran out, but if you're still open, there's a program I think might help. I hesitated. A support group? No, a live radio program for survivors. You can speak anonymously. No names, just truth. At first, I laughed bitterly. What's the point? People don't believe the truth unless it comes in designer shoes in Queen's English. But something pulled me. Maybe it was Ngozi. Maybe it was the rage inside me. Or maybe, just maybe, I was done hiding. Saturday night, 8:15 p.m. I sat in the small studio, headphones on, microphone in front of me, palms sweating. The host, a woman named Zena, smiled gently. You don't have to say your name, she whispered. Just speak from your heart. And I did. I told the story from the beginning. Mama's soup errand, the rain, Femi, the alley, the screams, the slap from my father, the exile to Enugu, the text messages, the friend who saw everything. I'm not here to ruin anyone's reputation, I said finally. I'm here to reclaim the one they tried to bury. The phone lines exploded. Calls, tears, stories. And then, a male voice, cold, familiar. Some girls just like attention. This one sounds like those church girls that beg for touch with their eyes. Zena blinked. Sir, this is a safe space. We will not. Ask her if she fought, if she bled, if she even screamed. My spine stiffened. It was Femi. I knew that voice, that venom. Zena's hand hovered over the end call button, but I leaned into the mic. Yes, I bled. Yes, I screamed. Yes, I still hear my own voice in nightmares. But the worst scars weren't between my thighs. They were on my soul, carved by people like you. Click. He hung up, but it didn't matter, Dot. Because for the first time, he ran from my truth, not the other way around. The next day, a small story broke on Facebook. Anonymous survivor exposes landlord's nephew in live radio broadcasts. People were guessing. Some got it right. Most were just shocked someone had finally spoken. I turned off my phone and cried, but not because I was afraid, because I was free. It wasn't just my voice he feared. It was what my voice could do when I stopped whispering and started roaring. 3 days after the radio broadcast, I was in the kitchen when Auntie Afilma's phone rang. Yes, this is her guardian. Who is this? I watched her brow knit. Her eyes flicked to me. You said from where? Police what? I froze. She ended the call and turned to me slowly. What did you get yourself into, Chidima? What happened? The DPO from Lagos says a petition was filed against Femi. They traced it to your anonymous radio call. Ngozi submitted a signed statement. There's even audio. Femi's been summoned. My breath caught in my chest. It was real. It was finally happening. The next morning, a Facebook post went viral in our hometown. Femi Adeleke under investigation for sexual assault. Girl's name withheld. Community divided. The comments were brutal. He's a good boy. That girl probably seduced him. How can someone be assaulted in a family compound? Lies. If it's true, let justice be served. She's brave for speaking up. Mama called. I didn't pick. Then Papa. Still no answer. They were only calling now because the silence no longer protected them. Later that day, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Hello? You think you've won? Femi's voice. You think the police will believe you? You're nothing. Not nothing, I said steady. I'm a voice that echoed louder than your lies. You'll regret this. I hung up. Then I walked to my bag, pulled out the report I had filed through the NGO, and added his threat to the file. A week later, the police called me in for an official statement. I wore white, not because I was pure, but because I had survived. I met Ngozi in person for the first time. She hugged me tight. You gave me courage too, she whispered. That evening, I sat at the edge of the bed, and for the first time in a long while, I didn't feel broken. He used fear to silence me, I wrote in my journal. But I used truth to silence him. My phone rang at 11:43 p.m. Mama. I stared at it for a full minute. Then I picked up. Hello? A pause. Then her voice, soft, strained. Uzoamaka? So this is how you want to kill me? I said nothing. The whole community is talking. Do you know your father collapsed yesterday from shame? I almost asked if he hit his head when he fell, but I swallowed the sarcasm. All this talk, lawyers, petitions, police, she continued. You want to destroy us because of what one boy did? That boy is a monster. He took my innocence. And your silence helped him, I said quietly. Lower your voice, she snapped. Even now, even through the phone, even after everything, she was still more afraid of noise than of justice. Femi's family is threatening to evict us. Your father is shaking. People are pointing fingers in the market. They should, I said. Maybe next time they'll protect their daughters instead of blaming them. She went quiet. Then, please, just withdraw the case. Let us handle it as a family. You've made your point. My voice cracked. No, Mama, I haven't. I haven't even started. She sighed like I was the problem. God will judge you, Chidima. I hope he starts with you, I whispered, then hung up. I cried that night, not because of what she said, but because part of me still wanted her to love me, to protect me, to say she was sorry. But that apology wasn't coming, and I had to move forward without it. At dawn, I opened my laptop and submitted my full affidavit through the legal team supporting me. Femi would be arraigned in court within 2 weeks, and this time, he wouldn't be hiding in the shadows. The news finally broke. A blog post with the headline, "Landlord's nephew accused of sexual assault victim speaks out after being disowned." It didn't name me directly, but everyone who had lived in our Sur-Layer compound knew. The post exploded. In 24 hours, there were 9,300 shares, over 1,000 comments, and dozens of reposts on Instagram and Twitter. The trolls came first. "She's just looking for fame. These girls now sleep with boys and call it forced. Why wait so long if it really happened?" But then, something unexpected happened. I got a message on Instagram from a girl I didn't know. Her name was Amaka. Her profile was private. No posts. Just one DM. "He did it to me too. In 2020, I was 15, but I was too scared to speak." My heart stopped. "Femi," I typed back. "Yes, I was their house girl. I left the compound after it happened. I thought I was the only one." I sent her my number. She called me in tears. She told me everything. How Femi would wait till the house was empty. How he threatened to fire her if she spoke. How she told her madam once and got sent back to the village. How she thought no one would believe a house girl over a landlord's blood. I cried. Not just for me, but because this thing I thought was mine to carry had roots. Amaka agreed to speak to the same NGO. They helped her prepare her affidavit. She would testify if needed. 2 survivors, 2 voices, 2 truths that echoed louder together. And suddenly the blogs changed their tone. Second accuser steps forward. Is Femi a serial predator? People who doubted me before started going quiet. And those who mocked me? Some deleted their comments. Others started whispering my name with fear, not disgust. But not everyone was silent. A new number messaged me that night. "You think you've started a movement? You'll ruin your life, girl. This is bigger than you." I didn't flinch. I simply screenshotted the message and forwarded it to the police officer assigned to my case. Because this time, I wasn't alone. I wasn't weak, and I wasn't afraid. I prepared myself for my predator. What I didn't prepare for was the person who chose to stand beside him. The court building in Lagos was older than I expected. Peeling paint, rusted signage. But inside, it smelled like something sacred. A place where lies dressed in suits try to outrun truth. Ngozi came with me. So did Mrs. Moreo. And Amaka, brave Amaka with trembling hands and a fire in her voice. We sat in silence as Femi walked in. Confident, clean-shaven. Wearing a charcoal gray caftan and his trademark smirk. But that wasn't what made my body go cold. It was who walked beside him, hand in hand, whispering support into his ears. My father. For a second, the world tilted. I clutched the edge of the wooden bench. "Is that?" Ngozi whispered. "Yes," I said, my voice hollow. My father shook hands with Femi's lawyer. Laughed like he wasn't the father of the victim. Like the case wasn't tearing his own family apart. Like I didn't exist. When Femi's eyes met mine, he grinned slow and smug. But this time it didn't shake me. Because I wasn't the same girl he attacked. I wasn't the same girl Papa banished. And I wasn't his victim anymore. The judge entered. Case called. The prosecution outlined the charges. The defense objected to the emotional tone. And then it was my turn. I stood, walked to the witness box, heart pounding so loud it echoed in my ears. Please state your name for the record. Chidima Uzomaka Nwoke. Do you swear to tell the truth? I swear. I took a deep breath and began. I told my story again, this time with no stammering, no shame, no broken pieces. I told them about the rain, the alley, the betrayal, the silence, the exile, the phone calls, the threats, the pain. I didn't cry, not once, but when I finished and returned to my seat, Ngozi squeezed my hand. You were fire. Then Amaka took the stand. She was shaky. She cried, but her words matched mine. Pattern, location, language, even the threats. The courtroom shifted. You could feel it. Suddenly, I wasn't just one girl with a voice. We were a pattern, a history, a wound too wide to stitch shut. As we left, I saw Papa look at me. No words, no nod. Just a face frozen in pride, or maybe fear. But I didn't care anymore. Because he didn't define me. The truth did. They came for my character like it was on trial. But I reminded them that clothes don't cause assault. Predators do. I knew it was coming. They warned me. The defense would dig into my life, paint me as loose, try to turn my confidence into promiscuity, my selfies into seduction. But I wasn't ready for how far they'd go. Your Honor, Femi's lawyer began, we'd like to submit Exhibit B, a series of photographs and posts from the plaintiff's social media accounts between 2019 and 2021. The screen came alive with a projection. My old pictures, one in a fitted dress, another blowing a kiss at the camera, a third at a party in a crop top. Does this look like a conservative girl who would say no to advances? There were gasps. A few people in the back murmured. I clenched my fists. The lawyer smirked. She paints herself as a shy church girl, yet her online presence tells a different story. The judge raised an eyebrow. And how are these relevant to the case in question? They establish her character, my lord, a pattern of flirtatious behavior. I stood. Permission to speak, Your Honor? The courtroom turned. The judge gave a slow nod. Go ahead. I stepped forward. Voice calm, eyes forward. I took those pictures when I still believed I was allowed to love my body. When I thought I could smile at a camera and not be blamed for someone else's sin. I turned to the lawyer. Wearing a dress never forced a man to unzip his trousers. Posting a selfie never cornered me in an alley. And blowing a kiss at my phone never shoved itself inside my body. Silence. Even Femi's smirk faded. I looked back at the judge. With all due respect, I'm not on trial here. He is. And unless that dress climbed off Instagram and dragged me into the dark, this line of questioning is a waste of the court's time. The judge cleared his throat. Objection sustained. Defense will stick to material facts. And just like that, they lost their grip. As I returned to my seat, the gallery murmured again, but this time it was in respect. I didn't smile. I didn't cry. I just breathed. For the first time in days, deeply. And then it happened. The courtroom door creaked open. In walked a woman in a faded headscarf and wrappers, thin, quiet, nervous. She approached the court clerk and whispered. Then the clerk turned to the judge. My lord, a witness has come forward. Unscheduled but relevant to the case. The judge frowned. State your name. She stepped forward, voice shaking. My name is Mrs. Clara Okoro, Femi's auntie. Gasps filled the room. Even Femi paled. And what is your relation to the accused? He is my late husband's nephew. He lived with us. And I have something to confess. The tension in the courtroom could slice flesh. Whispers floated like dust in sunlight. Even the judge leaned forward. Mrs. Clara Okoro took the stand thin, aged, trembling, but every step she took screamed of decades of guilt carried in silence. She held a small Bible against her chest as she swore the oath. Femi looked shaken. His lawyer leaned in to whisper, but Femi didn't respond. I raised Femi, she began. After his father, my brother-in-law, died, my husband and I took him in. He was 14, quiet, reserved, lost. At first, we loved having him. He helped around the house. He was respectful until he turned 18. Her voice cracked. She reached for a tissue. That was when I noticed things. Strange things. She inhaled sharply. My house girl at the time, Kemi, came to me one night in tears. Said Femi had grabbed her waist from behind while she was cooking. She said he whispered dirty things and laughed when she cried. But I slapped her, accused her of trying to destroy the family. Gasps filled the room. I fired her that same week. She paused again, biting back emotion. A year later, during the Christmas holiday, my 17-year-old niece came from Benin to stay with us. One night, she said she woke up to find Femi sitting on her bed, touching himself. The courtroom went completely still. When we confronted him, he denied it. Said she was imagining things. Said he was just checking if she was covered well. Her lips trembled. I wanted to send him away. But my husband, he said boys will be boys. That the girl must have misread the situation. She turned slowly, locking eyes with Femi for the first time. I see now that we were protecting a sickness, covering wounds that weren't ours to ignore. She looked at me next, eyes filled with sorrow. Chidinma, you are not his first victim. And if not for you, you wouldn't have been the last. I failed others before you. But today, I refuse to fail you. Her statement hung in the air like a hymn. Even the judge looked moved, his gavel resting idle. Amaka, sitting beside me, reached for my hand. I didn't cry, but inside, something shifted. Because finally, someone from his side stopped protecting his image and chose to protect our pain instead. As court adjourned, I walked past Femi. He didn't meet my eyes. For the first time, he was the one shrinking into silence. The courtroom was packed. Everyone knew this was the final day. Femi's family was there, stern-faced, silent. Ngozi sat beside me. Amaka held her breath beside the police officer. The judge called the court to order. We'll now proceed to closing arguments, he announced. But before anyone could speak, the clerk approached with a small envelope and whispered something. The judge frowned, opened the note, and retrieved a USB drive. Your Honor, the clerk added, this arrived this morning, anonymously, labeled proof for the court, play immediately. Femi's lawyer stood up. My lord, we have no idea of its origin. We object. Objection noted, the judge replied. But if this contains direct evidence relevant to the case, the court has a duty to examine it. He signaled the bailiff, who slotted the USB into the projector. The screen flickered. A grainy handheld phone video began to play. It showed a room, recognizable by the peeling walls and yellow curtains. Then, Femi's voice. Clear, laughing, mocking. These small girls, they form church girl, but when you corner them, dem they melt. The voice behind the camera laughed nervously. But what if she talk later, say na force? Femi's face entered the frame. Smug, proud. Beg, who go believe him? Nah me, Femi Adelica. My uncle, they run that whole street. If she talk nonsense, I go say na she seduce me. Case closed. Gasps, screams, panic, courtroom chaos. Even Femi's own lawyer turned away in shame. Femi leapt from his seat. It's fake! That's not… But the judge slammed his gavel. Sit down. The video continued. Femi bragging, naming girls, laughing about how one cried like a goat when he was done. And then he said my name. Chidinma. That one too they pretend, but I show her. After that night, I know say she no fit talk. Her papa go kill him if she try. My knees buckled. But I didn't fall. Because Amaka caught me. Because the truth finally had a voice louder than mine. When the screen faded, the judge adjusted his glasses and looked directly at Femi. Mr. Adelica, this court has now seen and heard enough. Enough to know not only of your guilt, but of your arrogance, and the network of silence that has enabled you for years. 10 minutes later, the verdict came down. Guilty. Femi was sentenced to 25 years in prison without parole. The courtroom clapped. Some wept. I stood, still, silent, whole. Outside, the press asked me for a statement. I said only this: believe survivors, and if you don't, stay silent, because we'll speak loud enough to drown your doubt.